We've all been there, right? That feeling in the pit of your stomach when a medical bill shows up unexpectedly. But what actually happens if you just can't pay it? Well, today, we're going to break down the timeline of how a medical bill ends up in collections, and more importantly, how you can fight back and take control. Okay, let's just start with a number that's, well, it's pretty staggering. 41%. That's how many American adults are currently carrying debt from medical or dental care.
So, if you're staring at a bill right now wondering what to do, the first thing I want you to know is this. You are absolutely 100% not alone. This is a huge issue that affects millions and millions of us.
And that feeling is just universal, isn't it? You get the care you need, you're maybe starting to feel a little better, and then, boom, the mail arrives. The bill makes no sense, the number at the bottom is way bigger than you thought it would be, and you just don't even know where to begin. You know, this personal feeling of dread, it's actually part of a much bigger story. What's really an American medical debt crisis. But here's the thing, understanding how the system works is the very first step to beating it. So let's take a look. The second that bill lands in your hands, a clock starts ticking. But here's the good news, and it is good news. This initial period, right at the beginning, is your single best chance to act and solve problems before they get any bigger. So let's look at that timeline. In those first 30 days, that's your window to really check the bill for any mistakes. Then, for the next few months, you'll probably get some reminders. Think of this as a grace period. It's your time to negotiate with the provider. But after about 90 days, they can start the process of sending your account to collections. Okay, so what should you actually do in those first 30 days? Easy. You become a detective. You've got to go through that bill line by line. Do the dates of service look right? Do you actually recognize all these charges? And the most important part, compare it side by side with the explanation of benefits, the EOB from your insurance company. This is your #1 line of defense. And if you get that gut feeling that something on the bill just looks off, trust it. Get this, 44% of people with medical debt held off on paying precisely because they suspected an error. Your instincts are probably spot on. So what happens when that grace period ends and the bill is still unpaid? Well, this is where a major shift happens. Your account gets handed off from your doctor's office to a third-party collection agency. And when that happens, the rules of the game, they completely change. And this handoff is such a critical moment. Think about it. You're no longer dealing with the people at your hospital. Now you're dealing with a professional collector who works for a completely separate company. And that new agency? It is regulated by a very powerful federal law. And that law is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or FDCPA for short. This is your shield. It was literally created to protect you, the consumer, from harassment and shady tactics by these third-party collectors. It gives you a whole new playbook of legal rights. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is a quote from the law itself. Congress passed the FDCPA because they found clear, undeniable evidence that these abusive collection practices were causing real, severe harm to American families. So yeah, this law has teeth for a very good reason. Okay, now once that collector makes their first contact, another clock starts ticking. But this time, it's your clock. The FDCPA gives you a 30-day window that is, without a doubt, your single most powerful tool in this entire process. So here's how it works. By law, within 5 days of first contacting you, that collector must mail you a written validation notice. This isn't optional for them. And that document has to tell you the exact amount of the debt, who the original creditor was, and, this is the most important part, it must clearly state that you have a 30-day right to dispute the debt. So how do you actually use this power? It's a really simple 4-step process. First, you get that written notice. Second, you review it for any mistakes. Third, you write a simple letter saying you dispute the debt. And fourth, this is key, you send that letter by certified mail within those 30 days. That gives you proof that they got it.
And the effect of sending that letter? Oh, it's immediate and it's powerful. The best way to think of it is as a legal pause button. The second the collector gets your written dispute, they are legally required to stop all collection activities. No more calls, no more letters, nothing. Not until they can mail you proof of the debt.
So now that you know your rights once a bill is in collections, how do you avoid that whole stressful mess to begin with? Well, you know what they say, the best defense is a good offense. It's all about winning the paperwork battle right from the very start. Okay, you might want to sit down for this next number, because it's kind of wild. Studies have shown that a mind-blowing 80% of medical bills contain at least one error. Not some of them, not half of them, the vast majority. The odds are pretty high that your bill is wrong.
So, what are these smoking gums you should be looking for? Well, here are some of the most common ones. Are they charging you twice for the same service? Did they bill you for 5 tests when you only had 1? Or maybe they charged you for a preventative care visit that was supposed to be totally covered. These are the kinds of expensive but common mistakes you can totally find yourself. And this is exactly why jumping on it early is so critical. You have way more time to act. It is infinitely easier to get a mistake fixed by your doctor's billing office than it is to deal with a third-party collector later. Catching these things early means you might just avoid the whole collections process and all that stress entirely.
So if there's just one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this. You have to be proactive. Ignoring a medical bill and hoping it disappears is the absolute worst thing you can do, because it won't. So open it, question it, and use these tools to make sure you only pay what you actually owe.
Look, this whole system can feel incredibly overwhelming. I get it. But knowledge really is power. Now you have the timeline, you know your rights, and you know exactly what to look for.